I've been having these weird thoughts lately. Like, is any of this for real? Or not?
Kingdom Hearts was one of those games that once I saw it, I had to have it, but I didn't know why. I mean, the concept of mixing Square and Disney characters together seemed really weird to me, but the commercials had simple and clean playing, so that's catchy as hell, and I bought the game based on that, and that alone. And to my surprise, the game was fantastic. The Square and Disney elements blended so nicely, in what ended up being an incredible game for the time. Now, that's not to say it's perfect. It does have flaws like any other game, but I can say without a doubt it's one of my favorite RPGs on the PlayStation 2. So with all this in mind, let's get into my review. Kingdom Hearts follows a young boy named Sora. He lives his days out on an island. I think? I was never really sure in this first game. But let's assume yes, and no one correct me. Him and his two friends Kairi and Riku want to build a raft and set sail to other locations and worlds. A space-traveling raft. Neat. But this plan goes asunder, much like the plans in all RPGs. Sora's island is overrun with a dark presence. He's given an item called a Keyblade, and Riku, Kairi, and himself are all, respectively, swallowed up by the darkness. Sora ends up on another world, and shortly afterwards runs into Donald and Goofy. Seeing that Sora is apparently the Keyblade Master, they team up on a journey to not only find Sora's friends, but to rid the worlds of the dark presence that inhabits them. Now, I love the story, and it's pulled off really well considering it's Square and Disney characters together. The two elements don't really clash with one another to ruin the story, in my opinion, which is great because I thought they would have. One thing that helps push the story along is that all the characters are generally very likable. Sora isn't a douche like most Squaresoft protagonists, and I just put some up there. Cloud's there. All in all, though, I love the story. I found it thoroughly interesting, and it's probably the highlight of the game for me. Kingdom Hearts is an action RPG. You control Sora and only Sora, and you have two party members which consist of Disney characters. Your main objective is to go from world to world, fighting through waves of enemies, interacting with Disney characters, defeating a boss, and in turn, saving that world. What makes the world so cool is that most of them are based off of Disney movies, and each one captures the feel of said movies, so it makes going to each new location really interesting and fun. Now, the controls are pretty simple. You can jump, attack, fire magic, simple stuff, nothing too complicated, and I stress that. To be completely honest, a lot of the gameplay is straight up button mashing, so if you can hit the X button really fast, you will be a pro at this game. Now, it didn't bother me that the game isn't that complex. I don't need complexity to have fun, and button mashing can be fun. The gameplay gives some nice throwbacks to the Final Fantasy series, with items like potions and spells like Thundera. You can even do summons with Disney characters, although I never really found the summons to be generally useful. Now, if I could summon a rift or something like that, it would be much appreciated. Another gameplay element is the gummy ship, which is very, very lame, and it's kind of like a barrel roll-less version of Star Fox, and you can't have Star Fox without barrel rolls, isn't that right, Peppy?
Do a barrel roll!
See, he knows what he's talking about. Now, you have to fly this thing every time you go to a new world, and it's so monotonous and boring, and I hate it. Luckily, you do get something later on that lets you warp to previously visited worlds, so you don't have to keep flying the damn thing, but that doesn't make it not suck. Now, all in all, the gameplay was really fun, and when I first played it back in the day, I saw no problems with it. I kind of do now, though. To start, the camera is a bit sucky. It just gives you lots and lots of awkward angles that make it very hard to see the enemies you're fighting. Although, since there's a lock-on, you can just keep hitting the X button, they should die eventually, but it was still pretty annoying. Another thing that bothered me was that sometimes the game would make you do some platforming. Now, this isn't a platformer per se, but it does have some platformer elements. And in all honesty, these elements aren't that good. Sora has a weird jump arc, and he's kind of floaty, if that makes any sense. And it makes doing some of this platforming a little frustrating. Aside from this, the combat was a little too simplistic for me, and some people complained that the game was just too easy. Yeah, I don't really care about the easy thing. But all in all, I thought the gameplay was good though. The game is fun to play despite a few shortcomings, and for me, nothing really compared back in the day. I love the presentation of Kingdom Hearts. To start, the graphics are fantastic. Character designs look great, and so do the levels, each level really capturing that Disney feel. Aside from just looking nice, one of the most impressive things about the graphics are the Disney characters. They move so fluently as if they were still cartoons, and that's really impressive because if they moved all awkward-like, that would really throw everything off, so I give mad props. On the sound side of things, it's awesome. Voice acting was overall fantastic. All of the main characters were voiced well, and all of the Disney characters were voiced spectacularly. I'm sure some of the Disney voice actors were just sound-alikes, but they sounded fantastic regardless. The only hiccup I could find with voice acting is the voice acting of some of the Squaresoft characters. And that could just be me not being used to them talking, because let's face it, they didn't talk in their PlayStation 1 games. Or they could just genuinely suck. It could go either way. I'm leaning towards suck. As for the music, again, awesome. It perfectly set the tone for each area in the game, and it was just awesome. I mean, I can't say a better word than awesome. Yeah, I said awesome like 3 times in that sentence. My favorite track in the entire game, though, had to be Simple and Clean. That song sold me on the game, oddly enough, and it's damn catchy. All in all, though, the presentation was fantastic, and I really don't have that many complaints about it. Kingdom Hearts is a fantastic game, as it should be. It's one of my favorites. The game has aged pretty well, so if for some reason you haven't played this yet, go play it. It's like, I don't know, $11 at GameStop? Maybe cheaper, so go. Godspeed. Buy it now! I mean, yeah. Woo! Now, the game does have a couple flaws that keep it from achieving total greatness, but all in all, I think it's a very stellar package. So Kingdom Hearts gets an A-.